Hi, I'm Lori Beckhofer, and I was at Cornell from 1985 to 1989. And I grew up in Ithaca, New York, and was a townie. And my mom worked at Planned Parenthood, so I had a great family upbringing in terms of being more open about sexuality and supporting pregnancy prevention and all that kind of thing. And when I was at Cornell, I ended up being a psychology major, and that was a great way to learn more about psychology, but also I studied with Sandra Baum, who taught a lot about psychology of sex roles and gender roles, and I learned a lot from her. It really kind of changed some of my ideas about what's socially constructed and about what young people are born with and stay with. And I also had the opportunity to work with Andrea Parrott when I was at Cornell, and she taught the big human sexuality class and was a fabulous teacher. I think there were like 800 students in a class when I was in the class, and she was able to make sexuality, to kind of destigmatize it, make it so it was comfortable to talk about and funny and fun, and that was all a wonderful experience. When I was at Cornell also, I got to work with Andrea in terms of her research, which was around acquaintance rape prevention. And so that was starting to become more talked about at the time. And you could see in terms of campus life that it was needed, because people would get into situations where they didn't want to be doing something sexually that they were. And there's still kind of that rape culture where people didn't talk about things were considered acceptable that are not acceptable. And I think there was a lot of drinking too on campus. That was my recollection. And I don't know how much of that was because people would drink because they wanted permission to have sex, and drinking also made it kind of took away their responsibility partly, but also when you drank a lot, then you could get into situations that you didn't want to be in. So I remember that and the importance of the work, and I continued on with Andrea a few years after I graduated. We ended up, I co-edited a book with her called Acquaintance Rape, the Hidden Crime, and that was a really great experience. So I was interested in human sexuality. I feel like I did some interning or worked with people who are in the Gannett Health Clinic. And then I worked at a Planned Parenthood in Minnesota for a couple years as a frontline educator. And then I thought I wanted to do something bigger picture in terms of kind of planning the programs and having a say in the programs that young people get in schools. And so I went to University of Michigan School of Public Health, and that was a great experience. And there, Andrea had told me that there was a wonderful person named Sylvia Hacker there that I needed to meet, who was part of a professional organization called QUADS, the Society for the Scientific Study of Sexuality. So I met Sylvia, and I remember when I met her, I went up to her, and she's like this Jewish grandmother type. And I said, "Sylvia, I heard that I should meet you, and I heard you need a sexuality TA." And she's like, "I didn't know I needed a sexuality TA, but all of a sudden I was her sexuality TA." So, and I had been a sexuality TA for Andrea undergrad too. So that was a great experience. And I was with nursing students at University of Michigan. And Sylvia was wonderful too, because she used to have this TV program called 60 Minutes with Dr. Sylvia Hacker. And so it was like the ticking, like 60 Minutes, and she was just so humorous and warm and loving. And again, it was like this attitude of like, we need to talk about sexuality, we need to take it out of the closet. And if we talked about it and took it out of the closet, and there was less heterosexism and homophobia and racism and all that, like we wouldn't have a lot of the problems that we're dealing with. Which reminds me, I took a course in HIV and AIDS when I was an undergraduate, which was wonderful. And it was really earlier in the AIDS epidemic, and I just realized I was really interested in those issues because, again, HIV and AIDS wouldn't flourish and wouldn't grow in the way that it did if we could deal with the underlying, those social issues, the inequalities that existed. And so I ended up getting a master's in public health at Michigan, which was a great experience. And I ended up working at the state health department in HIV and AIDS for a little while. And then I got a job working at the State Department of Education in HIV prevention and sexuality education. And so my position is funded by the Centers for Disease Control. It's wonderful funding that funds a person like me in every state from Division of Adolescent School Health. And then I was able to work with the people who train teachers, who then implement in the classroom sexuality education, and try to move things forward in that arena. And sometimes you feel like you've gone back 20 steps, like the education that's happening now maybe wasn't even as good as the education that I had when I was in high school, especially in Ithaca, New York, was really good quality sex education in the classroom. But I love to see progress in that area and to see schools be able to do more. And even within a more conservative policy environment, you can do a lot. And you can kind of, through community organizing and getting people involved, you can make for more comprehensive programming in schools and in communities. And parents want it, always want it. When you survey parents, they want more comprehensive programming. And then on the positive side, we've been working on this initiative to create safer schools for LGBTQ youth. And that's been really exciting. Again, Michigan is not the most progressive policy environment, but we've been able to do a lot. We've had trainings for like 12 years in that area, and kind of people from all around the country are interested in the work that we are doing. And so I'm just proud that we're able to move that forward and see that, you know, we can really make a difference, and that kids can feel safer and more supportive, and they can do better academically because of that. So I love my work. I love working in the human sexuality field. I love the fact that this exhibit is here when I came back for my 25-year reunion. And in general, I think if we can kind of continue to take sexuality out of the closet, to talk about it, realize it's an integral part of who we are, and it's an important part of who we are. And someday I want to write a book on sex, relationships, and money, taking it out of the closet. So we already have taken some of those pieces out of the closet. Money is the other thing that we're very closeted about. We don't want to talk about financial things and money, and that's financial literacy is such an important skill that a lot of us could use, I think. So it's an honor to speak.
Thank you so much.